So, to whoever may be watching, this is my fourth method of analysis, I suppose, and it's not quite how I discussed with Professor McCoy, if you're watching. I was going to have a video of me and my friends sitting together at a table, but for some reason or another they didn't want to be taped at the last minute. So hopefully this will suffice for my fourth, because it is kind of a way that helps me as an actor to analyze a script, and that's talking it out. And I feel making a video of me just talking it out and kind of discussing some of the things that my friends and I discussed as far as A Doll's House is concerned, perhaps you'll see that this is an ample method for analysis. So a big topic for my friends and I was the foil characters of the foil character of Mrs. Lind, and how she, everything about her is a foil of Nora's life. How she was independent all her life. Well, not all her life, but mostly, trying to help out her family and taking out jobs and supporting them. Whereas you have Nora, who basically was played the part of perfect wife, perfect daughter, falling into society and their standards. I thought it was very interesting how Mrs. Lind and Krogstad's character, how they're starting anew with their relationship, where Nora and Helmer's, Torvald's characters, they're ending, and a nice little parallel there. And I felt that was very, very effective. And I know this isn't a review, but in seeing that there is a foil between those set of characters, Lind and Krogstad, a little bit, and Krogstad could be considered his opposite. Yeah, all right. Because Krogstad, all the things that he did was to benefit his family. He wasn't really thinking of himself. Maybe he was, but to help out his family in the end. Whereas Torvald's character, he mostly cared about his image, what he looked like, and that's made apparent in the climactic scene where he goes off on Nora for what she had done, because it'll ruin his image, So yeah, in that sense, then yeah, Mrs. Lind and Krogstad are complete foils of Torvald and Nora's relationship. And I especially noticed this when I was drawing my character map out, how it was a nice balance of characters, I suppose, with and this is also a thing with talking it out to a person or a video camera, is you kind of get to see parallels with everything. Is I drew it like this, and it seemed like there was a nice part in the middle with all the characters. How you have like Torvald, Krogstad, Nora, Mrs. Lind, and Dr. Rankin Anne Marie, it was kind of natural, but they ended up being on different sides of the map as well. So another thing that came up in our discussion was antagonists, which is definitely another analysis aspect that once discussed you can kind of flesh it out and have all these different opinions and viewpoints as to who you think the bad guy is, quote unquote, even though that's not really what an antagonist is. I mean, the obvious choice is Krogstad, because from not the very beginning, but he tries to blackmail Nora into getting him to save his job, which in the end, and this goes into a whole end justifies the means debate. It goes into whether or not I mean, he was doing it for his family, so does that make it a good thing or not? One of my friends immediately, like, even though I had to kind of explain to him the definition of an antagonist, but he went out to say immediately that Nora was the pure antagonist in this whole thing, which kind of threw me back, but I could see where he was coming from. Now, as far as a literal, story and all the elements, no, she was not the antagonist. But here's this woman who makes a very selfish decision in the end by leaving her husband and her children to go off and be independent all of a sudden. And you have to think of those kids, and I mean, yeah, maybe they are in better hands with the nanny, Anne Marie, correct? Yes, Anne Marie. And perhaps they are in better hands with her, but to say that makes her an antagonist is kind of harsh, and I mean blatantly incorrect, because she is the focus of the show, and she drives the action forward, whereas I mean, an antagonist is trying to push the action back. I wanted to say that Torvald was the antagonist, simply because he, just like Nora's father, kind of held her back, and complete womanizer, condescending to the bone. He's the one who's kind of holding her in, and she has to leave him to kind of fly. And that, to me, and with our discussions in class, is the definition of an antagonist. Somebody who is trying to prevent that protagonist from reaching whatever goal they may reach. And I mean, this could go into the whole debate on the structure of literature, and how antagonists and protagonists are very gray areas and stuff like that. But that is not what this discussion is about. So I will leave it at that. But yes, I was hoping that this would have gone a little more in depth, but that was the focus of our discussion, and I figured I would kind of throw it out there for the camera, since I couldn't get that conversation between me and my friends. So hopefully this will suffice. I terribly apologize if it doesn't, but thank you. It's been a wonderful class, and have a good break.